Welcome to the Three Broomsticks social media rapid reaction casting news for the new show that's about to happen. We have not done this before because there's been nothing really that serious, but 2 nights ago on Wednesday, the 12th, reports started coming out that we may have officially found our Dumbledore. May being the key word. Take it away, Sierra.
So reportedly, John Lithgow is in talks to become the next Dumbledore, um, which is crazy that we have.
Which
That's
is
our first kind of casting news here.
crazy
Um,
because he's American.
and he's American.
He's American. That would
So
be a
that's already
big
like,
departure.
yeah, huge departure from the movies. That was like their big rule with the movies is
Yeah,
it
everybody
had
thought
to
everybody
be
except for the
it,
director.
exactly. So that's an interesting thing. Now, John Lithgow, he has portrayed British people before. Knows most notably Churchill in The Crown, and he did do a phenomenal job.
And even though he's not
So
like the right size or head shape or anything for Churchill, he did a phenomenal job.
yeah,
Because like
exactly.
Churchill's like my height. He's like 5'6", 5'7", and Jonathan Lithgow is like 6'4".
He's very
And
tall.
yes, he's extremely believable. And like one of the best parts of those first 2 seasons is his performance.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. So do I think that he could portray elderly British
Yes.
man? Yes, very much so.
100%.
Now, uh I have some concerns. I don't know if you
Yes.
share my concerns, Sam, but I have some concerns. One
I share your
concern,
concerns.
besides, so Churchill, obviously, very distinctive voice. He had to
Yep.
change his voice a lot to do that. In everything else I've ever seen John Lithgow in, he has a very distinctive voice.
I
And I
know.
wonder if it's going to be to John Lithgow playing Dumbledore and
Yeah.
not this is Dumbledore come to life. Obviously, we've had 2 iterations of Dumbledore so far, and well, 3, I suppose. Um,
Jude
sorry, Jude
Law.
Law, forgot about you for a second. but um, but all very, very different. I will say
Yeah.
that's kind of my problem with Jude Law as Dumbledore is I see Jude Law playing Dumbledore.
Right. I mean, I think that's one of the things is with the Jude Law performance, it's like you don't hide much with that costume. They shows like
Mm-mm.
muggle outfits and maybe little
Yeah,
wizard here and there, and his beard is like big, but it's nicely scalped, and they didn't do
yeah.
anything with his hair, so it's still like the Jude Law hairline and everything. But versus like Richard Harris and Michael Gambon are able to
Hmm.
disappear into that costume because it's so
Exactly.
layered. And it's what one really interesting thing here for me is Richard Harris has always to me had a very sort of non a notable voice. Now, he's an excellent
Mm,
actor. His voice is very good, and yet I know I'm. It's not like I could pick out on an audio
yeah.
clip that that's Richard Harris. Jonathan Lithgow, absolutely. Michael Gambon would also argue you can. I could pick his voice out, and I
That's
think he
fair.
does a nice job of disappearing into this role. Lithgow is such a prolific actor that
Hmm.
I think we'd be okay. Um, Although it is interesting because I've seen him mainly in comedy roles, and
Exactly.
I
Same.
Dumbledore has some comedy to him, but he's
Hmm.
also done dramatic roles. It's just like
Yeah.
he's an interesting mix for some guy, like the first
Right.
non-American to play this
Hmm.
huge role on a show that's going to take 10 years. And I have a concern about just
His age.
on average, American men live
Yeah.
not as
A
long as he would
certain
have
amount
in
of
this
time.
show.
Yeah. For a
There's nothing
show
against him.
that,
I want him to live as long
no,
as humanly possible.
I
But like
know
he's 79.
he's 79 already, and this show is not starting to film yet. It'll be at least a year before, they're done filming the first season. And then we've got 9 more years after that. So, well, over the course of 10 years. So potentially 11 more years from now.
Yeah.
Not to be morbid, but people have a lifespan. And
And he's already
recasting, as we have seen,
yeah,
kind of
it's
sucks.
hard. Kind of sucks. And so he's 7 years older than Richard Harris was when Richard Harris passed on.
Oof.
Um, which is really rough. And again, I'm not I want him to get the role. I think he's
Yeah.
deserving of the role. I think this would be great. That doesn't stop the concern of like, man, recasting just is rough. It's hard to
Yeah.
go from Richard Harris to Michael Gambon, even though
Mhm.
both are fantastic actors. Michael Gambon was absolutely phenomenal, even though he didn't read the books. And there's that one scene, but other than like, did you put your name in the goblet, Harry? I have no complaints about his performance, and I specifically really loved him in book 6. So like, recasting's not a problem, but like,
It takes an adjustment,
79 is
though.
just so old.
Yeah.
And it's if it was for one movie, or like, you know, he was gonna play. We were doing like a Cursed Child thing, and he was playing it. Awesome,
Right.
fantastic.
Amazing.
That doesn't mean I'm not a little bit concerned. Still want him to get the role. Would love him in that role. I think it'd be great. I still am a little not so happy that like Gary Oldman is not being considered. I know he joked. It was like a joke, and he wasn't really that serious about it. But whatever, it's fine. Anyways, Jonathan Lithgow.
I think in terms of like the Gary Oldman of it all, most of the actors who've already been in the world are very much, let's pass it on to a new, a new generation. If they really want me, then like, cool, think about it. But in general, it seems like most of them are perfectly happy, not, just passing it on to somebody new. However, if if we get a Lucius Malfoy Hermione crossover, I'll be there for it. If he wants to play Hermione, he very well can.
That was such a funny comment. See more in our speculation podcast that'll be out this spring sometime, to go more into details about
the end of March. Yeah,
why Lucius Malfoy's actor Jason Isaacs might be playing Hermione Granger. Such a clickbait. Such a clickbait headline.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think in terms of if Jonathan Lithgow can look the part, I think he's transformed enough for different roles, especially like talking about Churchill. Also, like, Richard Harris was really the body type for Dumbledore. Michael Gambon was not. I mean, he has these wonderfully long fingers that really help to sell the slenderness of Dumbledore, but he's a really big dude. And yet, that never read because, as noted before, the costume can really hide and help to enhance the character in this sort of Harry Potter world. So I approve of Jonathan Lithgow.
I do. I have my concerns, however, I think that he'll do a great job overall. Someone else who is in talks, well, previously rumored, I suppose, is the proper term. Previously rumored was Mark Rylance, who would have been also a really good option, I think. Already a Brit. He won an Oscar for his performance in Bridge of Spies, if anybody's seen that. Amazing. He's also phenomenal in a number of other movies that have come out in the past decade. So there wouldn't be really a concern about him portraying, like, I think he would also do a really great job.
Talent level is incredible. And just absolutely
off the
amazing.
charts.
He's phenomenal in Dunkirk. For those of you who have seen that Christopher Nolan movie, he plays the dad on the ship when they're trying to go and rescue all of the he's like a civilian that tries to go and rescue a bunch of the military people on the beach of Dunkirk. And so that's really cool. We're not on the beach of Dunkirk. Anyways, y'all know the story. But he's phenomenal in that role. And when he won that Oscar, I think this just speaks to his level of talent. He won that Oscar on a year where Creed came out, and Sylvester Stallone was like the person that everyone was like, yes, let's give him his career Oscar. He's been a movie star for a long time. So like he was set up in the way that DiCaprio was set up for The Revenant, where it's like The Revenant is not DiCaprio's best movie, and yet he's been doing this for a long time. He doesn't yet have an Oscar. Let's give it to him. And so the same thing was being rumored for Sylvester Stallone, but Mark Rylance for Best Supporting Actor was so good that when he won, it drew an audible gasp from the crowd.
Yeah, but he deserved it.
He's been a phenomenal theater actor. He's done all sorts of things that's been really good. No.
Yeah. And I think theater acting for a Dumbledore-esque role really makes sense.
Yes.
That he just he had that the personality, he's both, I think I was saying before, he's got the solemnity but also the quirkiness. And so I think that those things pair really well together. We're theater actors. And the other thing with Mark Rylance is if someone like him or he were able to be Dumbledore, he's only 64.
Yeah.
Chances that he could make it all the way to the end greater.
I hate it because I really want everyone to live forever.
I know.
Like, it's still a reality of the situation. So
I know.
Yeah.
So, and I think add the right facial hair, the right hair, the long everything. He's got the twinkle in his eye. He's
Yeah,
got the kind of the kindly face and whatnot that could lend itself well. But so I think that, worst case scenario, if something were to
yeah.
happen to John
I think
Lithgow, which hopefully it won't, but we could potentially have other options that would lend
yeah,
themselves well to the role, and hopefully it would be a better better blend if that should need to happen, but I hope
yeah.
not.
Hope not as well. But interestingly enough, with Mark Rylance, I think some people would be like, "Oh no, he's too short to play Dumbledore." 'Cause Dumbledore's supposed to be very tall.
Hmm.
Um, but like, if we could all believe that William Shatner was a tall man when he played James T. Kirk for 3 seasons on Star Trek, I think we can all pretend that Mark Rylance is a tall person for 10 seasons. So let's not all
Shots
get bogged
fired.
down on height. Yeah, and I'm William Shatner's height, so come at me, bud. I'll take you on. Not really. I'm just kidding. I completely withdraw that statement. Don't sue me. I don't want to. I don't want to spend money on it. Interestingly enough, so both two great options with Jonathan Lithgow or Mark Rylance, phenomenal actors. Um, it does seem from reports that Lithgow is actually close to signing, but I did sort of wonder. You get these announcements from whether it's being leaked by the agents or whether it's being
Hmm.
leaked by the the film production studios or production companies or what have you. Sometimes it's leaked that somebody else is about to get this role as like a sort of contract maneuvering, where
Mm,
it's like maybe they really do want Mark Rylance, but they're caught up in negotiations. So they're like, okay, we're gonna leak it that it's gonna be Lithgow, and hope that like Rylance,
steps
remove
up or
something from the
something,
contract
or
or after. Yeah.
yeah.
So I had that wondering as well. I also kind of like with Papa Isaidu, the guy who's rumored for
Mm,
Snape.
yeah.
You see some of these casting rumors come out, especially when it has to do with switching somebody's orientation or race or some sort of key figure like that. You'll see people like leak it into the media to see what the reaction is. And I was wondering,
Mm,
did that leak because they wanted to see what the reaction was, or did it just leak because? And the same thing
right.
with this situation here. I'm wondering if they're trying to leak, hey, non-American, and then like
Uh,
see what
what the
the
reaction is.
reaction is
Hmm.
before they actually go ahead and sign that contract.
Right. Could be. I
Yeah.
don't know. The ploys of Hollywood.
Indeed, the ploys of Hollywood. Well, that's going to do it for the Rapid React. Stay tuned. We have an episode coming out, I'm sure, sometime within the next 2 weeks that you've watched this video. Check us out on the Three Broomsticks. We're on all your major podcasting stuff, and we have a website where you can make comments and everything too. Be seeing you all later. I'm Sam.
I'm Sierra.
Cheers, which we can't do all together.
Cheers.
Bye, people.